So, in the last class, we have discussed about national interest. National interest is one of the determinant of foreign policy. So, it started with Indian foreign policy. So, when we talk about the Indian foreign policy, there are certain objective and the determinants which will define the Indian foreign policy. Those determinants are like national interest, world peace, peaceful settlement of disputes. Apart from that, we also have non-alignment and peaceful Panchashil. Okay, so when we talk about the national interest, we started with it. We discussed about realism and idealism, and also another theoretical formulation that is constructivism, which we came across. Okay, which is also relatable to India, but in most of the literature, you get to find only the realism and idealism. So, nowhere India's national goal is related to constructivism, but this is a new concept. So, everywhere you get to see constructivism as a new concept to define a nation and national identity. Okay, but initially we only have two ideologies to define our national interest and to brand the nation. So, realism, as in the last class, I have discussed about the realism, it is related to power and also balance of power. And we have discussed two components, two aspects. One is collective security, another one is collective defense. Okay, both collective security and collective defense are part of realism. Okay, realism in the sense that to envisage the world is highly anarchic. The international system is highly anarchic, and hence to gain power and to control other countries to gain power is what realism is all about. How to control other countries, how to control the and check the power of the other countries, and how to enhance the power of your own. That is related to realism. And also, it is related to balance of power. When we say balance of power has two components. One is collective defense and collective security. In collective security, a number of countries, as you could see, that there are numerous states there in integrated to international system. But here we are not talking of those international system, but numerous state uh, will collectively make a decision against a common aggressor. But common aggressor is not predetermined. So after getting aggression from a state by another state, that the state may also seek help of numerous collective of state, and they can make an arrangement to even retreat the force of the aggressor state is a kind of arrangement that is called collective security. That is a part of realism, how power is being exercised by the nations across the international front. So you actually see that here there is a common aggressor which is being determined by numerous states, uh, and to repeal that common aggressor, to retreat that common aggressor, all the nation state will force into an agreement, come into an agreement. Okay, that is called collective security. That is a security arrangement among them. So national interest is also related to security purpose. So there are different kind of collective security arrangement, like we have NATO, we have CATO. These are power block. Initially, you actually see NATO, CATO are power block in order to determine, you see, a common aggression, NATO common aggression, USSR, Soviet Union was determined as a common aggressor, and against which an alliance was formed by a group of states to retreat the power of the USSR. Then CATO was also formed by Soviet Union. NATO was formed by USA. Like that way, you can actually see that this collective security arrangement is based on the balance of power and realism. So realism is basically balance of power, because system is anarchic, and hence you need to form an alliance to protect you and control and check the powerful one. Okay, so that is an arrangement. Apart from this, there is another arrangement that is called collective defense. So when you talk about the collective defense, in collective defense arrangement, there is a predetermined aggression. In the sense, you do not have a common aggressor here, you have a predetermined aggressor against which states, you are forming an alliance, or states are forming an alliance against a predetermined aggression. So when we talk about a predetermined aggression during the First World War, you actually see Germany happened to be a common, not a common, a predetermined aggression against which we have diplomatic. UK, then we have Britain, France, and USSR. Right, Britain, France, USSR actually formed an alliance. But they formed an alliance to retreat Germany, retreat the power of the Germany. Okay, control the power of the Germany. So the difference between collective security and collective defense is that these countries arrange themselves into a defense mechanism. Hmm. Whenever there is an aggression comes from the supposed aggressor, then three of them, four of them, or whosoever into that alliance will repel and come forward and fight against it. So that was a predetermined aggression concept. But here in collective security, so once aggression is already done, then they form an alliance. Okay, so there is a peaceful nations between two countries. All of a sudden, one country is actually intruded without giving any kind of announcement to the sovereignty and integrity of this country, and then the country which got the attack from the other country, they approach other countries help, seek other countries help, and they seek a collective security arrangement. Okay, or maybe this is one way to deal with, or they can also form a collective security just because they know that there might be possible attack from these very countries. Because USA know that there are possible attacks from Soviet Union. There is a Cold War, you already know. So because of their ideological difference, there is a Cold War, and just to contain the communism, they also formed that bloc. Uh, that NATO bloc, and that is actually military bloc. They develop the ideology and based on the repressive power. Hmm. So, in both these collective defense and security, we get to find the might of military might of military power, and identification of an aggression. And once in defense, in collective defense, you have a predetermined aggression, but here in collective security, you have a common aggression. Okay, so that is the difference. Now, you see that in realism, so we also have some proponent of realism here in India. Like we have Kautilya talked about realism. Okay, if you read Hans Margento, Margento is also one of the advocate of realism. Okay, so when we talk about bilateral relationship, we basically here we see the role of soft power and all. So that is not a realism, that is basically idealism. So here, when you talk about realism, hard power is important, that coercive power to contain the power of other countries. Then idealism, in the last class also I have discussed about idealism, and all the architect of Indian foreign policy were the believer of idealism more than realism. Jawaharlal Nehru, we talk about Mahatma Gandhi, then Vallabhbhai Patel. Hmm. They were basically believer of idealism. Many people said that Vallabhbhai Patel he is believer of realism. But you see that that blend of idealism is there uh, in some person, except those extremists. Okay, we also have Lal, and Pal. They were extremists. They were believer of realism. But that realism was different. Okay, because it is related to somehow decolonizing effort. They raised voice and they said that it is not only about raising voice peacefully. You need to take arms. So that's different. Now you see that when you say idealism basically stress upon, focuses upon the existence of an international system to deal with peace and security. So here we rely on an international organization for any kind of peaceful settlement of the dispute. So any aggression happen, we approach to international organization like UNO. So world is not anarchic at all. There is an international organization like UNO existed, which has already obliged, which has been obliged to provide us freedom against fear, against poverty, against you see any kind of deficiencies, freedom related to expression, freedom of religion, freedom of faith. So one organization is there who is work for the human security and also brotherhood. So you can approach that organization if your territorial integrity is being violated. Okay, so here this world body has been existed to maintain the sovereign existence of all the member state and also to protect the territorial integrity of the member state who are being the member. Initially, we had a trusteeship council. Now it is no longer there. Trusteeship council was there, a part of United Nations organization. As we get to see that there are number of organs of United Nations organization. So we have organs, General Assembly is one organ, you have Security Council, that is one organ, we have Economic and that this Social Council, that is one, ECOSOC. We also have Trusteeship Council, that is one. We have International Court of Justice, they provide justice and also peaceful settlement of the dispute. So you get to see that there are six organs which have been, and Secretary General is already there. There is also a secretary. Okay, so they have been working for the promotion of world peace. So Indian foreign policy, if you look into the principle, you might also say principle and also determinants, okay, of Indian foreign policy. You see world peace, and that is in line with the international organization that we seek harmony and the world peace, and that too through peaceful settlement of the dispute. So we believe in ideology and we believe in peaceful settlement of the dispute, and we also revert to the policies of international existed international organization. So anything happen, we will simply go and make a claim, and we will insist the United Nations organization to take step. Any kind of aggression happen, any kind of untoward incidents happen in between two nations and bilateral relations, or breach of agreement, or sudden aggression, or any kind of intrusion. So we will report to United Nations Organization Security Council. Basically, the Security Council, that is the executive council. So there are also members which have veto power. The five members, they have veto power. They can take all the decision, major decisions can be taken by those five members, and you actually see that uh, related to collective defense and collective security, all important decisions are taken by those that power, that big powers. We talk about big powers. No? So now you see that another aspect. Okay, idealism we get to know, but I actually forgot about another aspect of realism is India's defense mechanism. So if we look into our defense mechanism, so we have been advocating for nuclear non-proliferation, and we did not even a signatory of non-proliferation treaty, nuclear non-proliferation. We did not sign that nuclear proliferation treaty, sorry, not non-proliferation. We have been demanding for nuclear non-proliferation, and we have not signed that nuclear proliferation treaty. And there are numerous treaties which have come up after Second World War, that bombing of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and this Nimu Island. You know that Nimu Island, there is that horrendous incident happened, that 15 ton, 15 megaton that hydrogen bomb was dropped, and that actually lead to uh, that loss of inhabitants for 100, 200, yeah, 100 years. Okay, so that was that was being envisaged by this scientist, and also created some aberrations afterwards. So just after dropping of bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, after 4 years, USA has again dropped in explosion in Nemo Island, and uh, uh, that actually lead those idealists across the world about this, like, that horrendous influence effect of this war policy, and hence you actually see that various treaties come across. And India has been advocating for disarmament and arm control right from the very beginning. As a part of nuclear non-proliferation, India was advocating for disarmament and arm control. These are two different terms now. So when we talk about disarmament, disarmament means reduction of the existing weapon which is being stockpiled by a nation. Okay, so but when you talk about arm control, that means reduction of future weapons which are being stockpiled. Okay, so here these two concepts are different. India has been advocating for both disarmament and arm control, but at the same time, India is also running in tune with the necessities of the, like, international that politics. It's not like that we did not taste the nuclear explosion, because that was the requirement and the necessity, and also to prove ourselves as a self-reliant country. Although we have been advocating numb policies, you see that we should not be exploited. At the same time, we should not be annexed by other countries having nuclear explosion, like nuclear, that's what, weapon country, and in the neighborhood you cannot even think that you are sitting idle, and nuclear weapon countries will not commit any kind of aggression. And hence we have tasted it. Now you see, but we have been committed to disarmament and arm control. Disarmament means qualitative reduction of weapon. Qualitative reduction of existing weapon, to certain extent you see that there are certain weapon, chemical weapons, biological weapon could be reduced, and that's how you can make a qualitative reduction of, if you uh, armaments could be banned, some armaments, some arms could be banned, which could cause more harm to people and to environment, to atmosphere. Those armaments could be banned, and those armaments may be a chemical and biological weapon. Hence, disarmament is related to qualitative reduction. So, reduce the weapon inconsistent with the national policy. Okay, when you talk about the arm control means reduction of the weapon in future. That means we will not be developing any kind of arm stockpile in future. Okay, so it is not related to national policy. Policy may be, yeah, there is no uh, no armaments at all, no arm development, no arm stockpile at all. Okay, that is in future, but there may not be any kind of qualitative ban on the weapon in the current, like, phage. So you cannot see that if country is committed for disarmament can go for arm control, and a country which is committed for arm control can also be committed for disarmament. Okay, so a country has to go for or to oblige for both disarmament and arm control, committed to disarmament and arm control. Then only there will be total ban of nuclear weapon across the world, and that's what India advocated. You see, so we had some strong policy and ideology, and that to place before the world. And hence, many a time, India has also proved our role, our importance in the world front. And India was invited by the Security Council to take many decisions regarding the clashes and dispute over the mandate system and some critical issues, because India had been providing its own stand, and Western elite, initially we have those Western educated this people, right? And even you see this Jawaharlal Nehru and Indira Gandhi, they were actually known for international acumen. They could deal with so you see intelligently till the international crowd and this government, their policy were so very intelligent that you see that that kind of statesmanship may not come now, okay? Because dealing with that international audience and also forging a bilateral relationship with international government is one very you see prime goal also for a country to create a bargain in the uh, you say numerous state or bargain in the member of state. So you need to bargain for your country, bargain in favor of this country, so it's very important. Nowadays situation is not that turmoil which was faced by the Gandhi family. So it's not like that I'm speaking in favor, but yeah, situation was very turmoil just because after, means we were newly independent countries. So we did not have any kind, as I have already told you, that there was also a time. So newly independent countries had to face a lot of, uh, you see, economic scarcity, right? There are raw materials, but no industry to even make use of those raw materials. No technology, no human resources, no training. There are a few elite section of people who are being trained, who are English literate or educated. They can decide the policy, but vast majority of the people who are supposed to be trained and work with the raw material, work with the in the industry, is not even trained. So you see the technology transfer and this industrial setup were a requirement initially. And also to have our own existence as a country is also very important, because we're newly independent country, India, at that point of like a time, and India was also pulled by both the power bloc, Soviet Union as well as you see that USSR. But India joined Commonwealth of Nations, all the newly independent countries and erstwhile colonies of the Britain, they joined the Commonwealth of the Nation under that Queen Britain, that Britain Crown. So by that way, that identity has been maintained, but India refused to join any of the power bloc, and that was against the realism. But India also did not want to be a country of non consequences, and hence India wanted to develop its own policy. And along with, you see, Yugoslavia's Tito and Egypt Nasser, Egypt Premier Nasser, huh, the India Nehru and like Nehru from India, Yugoslavia, Tito from Yugoslavia, and Nasser from Egypt. Three of them formed this non-alignment movement, that alliance, that we are not going to align with any of the power bloc, having the country uh, of our own identity. We are not going to join any kind of power bloc, and we'll develop our own, but we will definitely seek help from both the power bloc, because we will need aid and ammunition from both the power bloc to develop industry, to develop human resources, for technology transfer. We need aid and ammunition that we will be taking. But we are not going to join any power bloc, and the non-alignment policy is the basis of idealism. Idealism, because we see that we are not aligning. We believe in ahimsa. We believe in, like, peaceful means to peaceful end. It's not like by hook and by crook we will get the end, but we believe in peaceful means to peaceful end. Huh. And also we believe in peaceful settlement of the dispute. Huh. And we were anti-colonial country, and we see that in power blocks there are countries who were the former colonies. So how can we have our own principle if we join the bloc? So we will again be that inviting slavery to us. Slavery in terms of ideology, and we won't be having our own ideology, and hence we are not going to join any power bloc, because they were the former colonies. You see that were colonial power, and hence we are advocating anti-colonialism. We are advocating anti-racialism. So those advocacy for anti-racialism, advocacy for anti-colonialism are also part of non-alignment movement. You see, and faith in nationalism, faith in justice, social justice, faith in development are also aligned to non-alignment, and these are the very essence of idealism. Okay, against the you see this armaments. Okay, and also when you talk about disarmament and arm control, these policies are also rooted in the idealism. Okay, but at the same time, you said that yeah, we have developed our own stockpile, we have tasted. So we have a blend of realism and nationalism, okay, idealism, and that too for national interest. So our national interest reflects the blend of realism and idealism. Hmm. Because we have to explode, just because we just don't want to be a country of non, like no consequences, and hence we also exploded the nuclear test. Okay, and you also see first uh, when during Indira Gandhi's time, first test was exploded, no, and it happened very secretly. Nobody knows. Huh. Then in 1999, it was exploded, and you see, we refuse to sign the NPT, but there are also other NCTBT. But there are other treaties like partial Tisban treaties were there. Then we have also TTTABT, threshold Tisban treaty is also there. Means you see there are certain decisions taken by international community and the member state of the United Nations to you see ban the test nuclear test, to ban the nuclear test in the atmosphere, ban the nuclear test in underwater and high sea, ban the nuclear test in the environment. So they consider the environmental hazard, and hence, basically, the superpower. They came into an alliance and they came into an agreement that we are not going to make any kind of test like that. But they reformed. They also later on they have fouled that agreement and they have also tasted. And later on, we also have partial Tisban Treaty that came in, I think, 1976. And there again, they have determined uh, the, the, uh, the quantity of uh, explosion could be done. That is 150 megaton quantity of explosion could be tested. That is a partial test ban treaty because threshold test ban didn't work. They did not even reduce their stockpile, and they had an argument. That big power had an argument. You actually see, USA has developed a stockpile and nuclear weapon 1944 and 45. They have dropped it. No, then you have that Soviet Union in 19 that 50. Then you have this Britain 52. Then France 54, I guess. Huh. Then you have that China in 1960 or 62. Uh, During that period of time, 1960 in China. During that period of time, US, USSR, Britain, France, and China, these five big power have already developed a nuclear stockpile, and they are trying to think about universal brotherhood. And you see, humankind and mankind is peace and security. So actually, there is a hypocrisy in the international system also, and hence India did not join initially. Okay, so and that was our uniqueness, and that's our identity. Huh. And here also you get to see India is so very rich in terms of the diversity. That kind of diversity you won't get to see anywhere in the world. The kind of diversity. There might be two, three communities. This I might say that okay, two, three tribes were there, different communities, natives, these are native people, is urban, well, this kind of divide you get to see. But the extreme diversity, you see those. We also have skyscraper and very rich people. At the same time, you see the poverty in India. But you cannot even see that we do not have rich people here in India. Hmm. So not only there are arts, so many arts. You see, so many. We do not have that market. We could not establish that market yet to even give world to get an exposure about India. But many people actually know about our sari and earrings and all, and the kind of ornaments that we wear. Huh. But they don't know the diversity of the dress, attire, and our culture. Huh. But here in Western countries, you won't get to see any kind of diversity in terms of the dress, attire, lifestyle, and all. But here in India, you get to see extreme diversity. Okay, so we are unique in different way. Hmm. And you see, and that's why India advocated for that conference on disarmament and arm control. And India said that this is for the promotion of you see growth and development of humankind, and also for checking the environmental hazards. At the same time, India looked for quantitative and qualitative ban on the armaments. But big power said that no, we need to develop the stockpile so that we can taste the weapon which is already be developed, and we could also see how effective those weapons are. Okay, so that is their arguments, because we have already developed, now we cannot destroy it. So we need to see how effective those weapons, and that's why we are eligible to test. And that is their argument they have made. Okay, this is a big power argument. So to make this, and they also debar India and other countries, Israel, and that point of time they were also nuclear. And initially, when India secretly that exploded, and hence you see that Indira Gandhi was known as a Sakti, that equated with Sakti, because she did it like she developed that acumen, and secretly that explosion was done. And actually, that was very pathbreaking. That provide the way to even the nation to see that we need to develop self-reliance in terms of security. Okay, so and Abdul Kalam Azad has also said that India will not be fully independent unless and until we do have a self-reliance defense and security mechanism, and hence he has invested in Agni missile. And meanwhile, we get to see even Pakistan and other countries have developed this missile technologies. So India has also invested on missile technologies to develop that self-reliance security system. And but you see, even if we have faced that aggression from China, we still believe in that peaceful settlement of the dispute. And India, this is also one you see example that India has said that India, even after getting aggression from China, has been advocating for Chinese membership into United Nation organization. United Nation organization, big power did not want to admit China there. And after aggression, also India has been advocating for the membership of China into United Nations organization. India said that it is very vital and crucial for India to get China admitted into United Nations organization, huh, and also make them aligned to the principle of peace and harmony, because it's a big power. If they're not aligned, whatever what they can do, you never know. And China now has a different policy altogether. They are pumping money in all the Middle East, in Southeast Asia, in even these African countries, everywhere they are committed. China is committed to develop infrastructure. They have developed like stock of money, and hence as China is a rich country now. We talk of China as a rich country because they can pump money. Chinese people can pump money. Government is pumping money to make infrastructure in Middle East, in South Africa, in Southeast Asia. In return, what they want to exploit the raw materials and the resources in those countries. But India, we do not have that much money to pump that we want, that raw material, the exploitation. So we cannot say. We simply say that okay, cultural exchange, that can be possible. What can be possible? They can come and they can exploit our raw materials, but you see, we can provide them. We can have foreign direct investment. But what China is doing? China is building infrastructure out there and said that let us exploit your resources, your raw materials, and that way, that is the policy of soft power of China now. So it's working in a different level altogether. Okay, we are also following at the same time, and now you see there are confidence building measures have been taken even after that incident since 1978. Things have been a bit, you see, normalized because there are many visits. by Indian premier to China, Chinese premier to India, and confidence building measures have been also like that taken, and many issues are being addressed, and we also get to equal this Chinese trade. There are for some opportunities, and we also see that Chinese export and import. China is the second largest country, I think, in terms of import in the world, and the first largest country in terms of export in the world. Huh. You see, and hence they have provided us a specimen kind of that we need to follow. It has a different policy, work in different way. At the same time, you see there is a communist government. There is no other government. There is no democracy. But democracy is the, our strength of us. Anyhow, we can say that we are democratic. So we have this right. People do not have that kind of right that we actually see here in India and we enjoy here in India. But yes, no, with their own native policy, the policy of with a native flavor, China is now going to rule the world. Huh. So you actually see, and hence India. But you see, India also made China aggressive so that China won't create aggression in this Southeast Asian nation, and hence it is also very crucial to go make China enter into this international organization, get the membership done, uh, just to contain its power. That was India's. Otherwise, if they are not committed, they will not be coming into this collective security and defense system. Anytime they can come and you say intrude into our territory and any kind of South Asian territory. So that what India envisaged. Okay. So that was the situation, you see. And if I keep talking about international relations, no, it's interesting for people who are interested to know. It's very interesting, you see. Even earlier we had our relationship with Bangladesh, about Tin Banga corridor, Tin Bigha corridor, and then we have New Moor Island and Belonia district is there. These are some of the disputed territories. So, disputed area that when you talk about Indo-Bangla regions. So when you talk about dispute, realism will come. Any kind of dispute and how you are dealing with it, that is also important. In what way, the kind of confidence building measure, agreement. Huh. And before that, you also have another kind of agreement like peacekeeping settlement. That is part of not realism, that's idealism. So suppose India, being a member countries of United Nations organization, India has been advocating many peacekeeping operations and spearheading those peacekeeping operations. So if there is a turmoil on humanitarian crisis in any countries, India is being asked to send in a peacekeeping operation out there in terms of even medical relief and all. Okay, so that is one thing, and there are numerous incidents across the world, like a case of Cyprus, then Congo, then we see Namibia, then you have Yugoslavia, there are communities, Serb and Bosnia. Serb people actually that made ethnic cleansing of this Bosnian people, killed a lot of Bosnian people, and India actually provided peacekeeping operation, being committed to the peace and harmony of United Nations organization's goal. And like that way, India has already secured its role, pivotal role in the international forum, being a member of United Nations organization. And also India, apart from China, India made 16 other members, newly independent country, got admitted into United Nations uh, organization. Initially, United Nations organization, because you see that there is a veto system. They don't want a newly independent country to become a member. They said that they will not be anyhow will be not be in a position to take any decision or give us any. We will have to work, and hence they have already created a trusteeship council, that is a mandate system, because those newly independent countries are not capable to self-rule, and hence there is also a council that is basically an administrative country which will council which will mandate over how to rule and mandate over their self-determination. So after a few years, When they develop capabilities to self-rule in terms of their training, learning, experiences, and also they got their resources transfer, technologies transfer, then this mandate system was abolished and fully they are integrated into United Nations organization. Okay, so I'm now keeping